Hi, and welcome to the Love to Mom podcast. I am your host, Jerry, and as always, I'm joined by my hardworking and motivated mother, Christy.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, and as the title of our podcast suggests, this week we are going to be talking about Working Girl, the 1988 smash hit. I don't know if it was a smash hit. I didn't look at the box office.
It was a smash hit. I did not look at the box office either, but there will be some things I'll share later that will let you know that it was a smash hit.
Okay.
You're
Well,
waiting in eager anticipation, aren't you?
I sure am. I'm very interested.
Mhm.
I'm not going to ask my usual question.
Oh,
I'm going to ask,
oh,
why did you pick this movie?
okay. Why did I pick this movie? Well, I don't remember what brought it to mind specifically, but I do have a running list that I've been keeping on movies that I want to talk about. This is one that I watched a lot
Mm,
when I was younger. I remember watching it with my sister when I was younger. Let's see, 1988, I would have been 16 at the time.
okay.
Um, and I remembered it being really amazing. And so, I remembered Sigourney Weaver and Melanie Griffith and Harrison Ford, which I'm like, okay, this has to be great.
Hmm.
So I think we should watch it. That's it. That's the whole reason.
That's it.
I
Okay.
remembered really liking it. I remembered really liking Harrison Ford and Melanie Griffith. That's kind of the big thing.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask because you said that you watched it as a kid, and I'm like, how old were you? Because there's like a lot of
Mm.
nudity, or not a lot, but there's nudity in it.
Didn't remember that part. I'll
Oh,
tell you that.
I mean, like Kevin Spacey is in one scene, and in that one scene, he watches porn in a limousine.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
I did not remember that at all. At
Mm-mm.
all. No. Or like the scenes of her standing in her underwear. Like,
There's a lot
talk
of
about
that.
the male gaze. It's like,
Yeah,
why are we? Yeah,
that was weird.
I
Yeah.
know. I know.
But when you watched it, were you watching it on TV? Were you watching a TV cut?
I think we had it on VHS
Okay.
back in the day. So I
So,
think it was the full thing.
wow.
I just didn't remember it. I didn't remember that part of it. The scene that really sticks in my mind, there are two that really stuck in my mind. The one was when Sigourney Weaver was in the hospital with her foot up in the sling. That I really remembered. And then there's the scene where Melanie Griffith and Harrison Ford are sitting in the bar together talking.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the two scenes I really remembered. Other than that, there wasn't much there. Um, so I'm basing it off of two very, very small scenes that I decided to pick it. I just remember feeling like as you know, I was probably watched it more often after it would have come out on VHS, which would
Mm,
have been maybe I was 17 or 18 at that point. But I just remember really liking it.
yeah.
And I can't really tell you why. I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know.
Well, what did you
So
think of it
anyway,
now?
I did not, it does not hold up well. I felt
Really?
like it didn't hold up well. Did you
Oh,
feel differently?
I liked it.
You
I thought it was
did.
pretty good.
Sometimes, sometimes you surprise me. So,
I guess
okay,
so.
let me tell you the things I felt like didn't hold up well. Some of that dialogue was absolutely cringy.
Mm.
Um, Let me read you one. Actually, I wrote down two. I have a head for business, but a bod for sin. Is
Oh
there
yeah,
something wrong with that?
I remember
That is horrible.
that.
I thought at first I was like, oh, she has to be joking. And then I was like, oh no, that's a serious line. That wasn't like a haha at the end. That was horrible. And the other one was, I'm not steak. You can't just order me.
Yeah.
Those lines were
Yeah.
bad. Um, did it capture the time? Yes.
Yes.
Did the sensibilities, like if I'm looking at it through a 1980s lens, yes. I just think that film has changed so much since then that
Oh yeah.
sometimes I was like, oh, this feels really slow. Oh, they're talking a lot about the financial stuff. I don't care about that.
Mm.
But also the 80s, maybe those were the things that I had a little more criticism about. Was it just it felt a little slow. Some of the dialogue was a little cringy, and some of the male gazy things that we just don't see that much anymore, maybe,
Yeah.
kind of hit me in a different way
Mm.
watching it now. There were a lot of things in it I really liked, but it was not as wonderful as I remembered it, in my
Mm.
opinion. It just didn't seem to capture. But also, if you think about um, what you're thinking about when you're 16, 17, 18, and you haven't really experienced much yet, versus a 50-some-year-old woman who's like looking back on this going, huh, well, this is interesting. I've lived a lot of life since then, so
Yeah.
things aren't going to hit the same way. What did you like about it?
I think that Melanie Griffith and Harrison Ford had pretty good chemistry.
Hmm.
I think overall Harrison Ford is really, really good in it. I like how, I mean, I'm not like super well versed in Harrison Ford movies. I know the
Hmm.
big ones, obviously, but like I haven't seen what's the one? There's Air Force One, and then there's
Hmm.
like the Fugitive. No, it's not the Fugitive,
Yeah,
is it? Is it?
yeah,
Okay.
it's The Fugitive with Tommy Lee Jones.
Yes. And so like I know
Hmm.
there's like some bigger movies of his that I haven't
Hmm.
seen. So it's kind of weird to see him in like real life. I think the
Mm.
only other thing that I've seen him in like that is Shrinking. And that's obviously like a completely different era and vibe.
Yeah.
Um, so it was kind of interesting. This isn't like
Hmm.
quite prime Harrison Ford. It's like a little bit after that,
Mm.
but he still got it and he's
Mm.
very charismatic. And you can tell there's like some things that like I think he was improving and Melanie Griffith was like actually laughing because
Oh.
there's some things where you can tell like she was like there's stage laughing and then like she was like like actually
Oh.
did something like that where like she was trying to contain it to save the scene but she couldn't quite do it.
Yeah.
And I really like that atmosphere and that
Hmm.
vibe where like you can tell that like they're actually having fun together. um I feel like that's so crucial in a comedy, so
Hmm.
I think they nailed that like 100%.
Yes. Yes,
um
I agree.
and I did think it was kind of funny. There's so many scenes in this movie where Harrison Ford is just being ogled by a bunch of ladies.
That's true. I guess there is turnabout in this,
There's like
where
so
he's
many.
changing his shirt in the office and all the women are standing there watching him in the
Yeah.
window.
Or there's like what it's like they're at the bathroom of the party or something, or he's like up against the wall of the party and he's like doing something, and then there's like in the foreground there's like three women that are like looking back at him, and I'm like,
Yeah,
this is so funny and so
that's interesting.
weird. That,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
on one hand you're right where it is like this there's a lot of like male gazy stuff, but
Yeah,
Harrison Ford in this movie is objectified in a lot of the same ways.
that's true. That
um
is true. I
yeah,
hadn't really thought about that, but you're right.
something for everybody,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. I think, yeah, I think the workplace stuff is super
Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
The When she's upstairs with all the guys with Oliver Platt, which is hilarious to see him as a young
I know,
whippersnapper.
it's so weird.
But the whole, like, it's just accepted that, she is like, why am I going to your hotel? Why am I like, this is just something that happens in the business world, which really blows my mind. The people smoking in the office,
Yeah.
all of that was also very strange. But I'm thinking specifically where she's up on that second floor when or that floor when we're starting the movie, and it's all these guys. Like, you're seeing all of these cubicles with all of these men except like
Mhm.
a few random women. And then you go down to is it Catherine? I think Catherine
Yeah.
was her name.
Mhm.
And you go down to that floor and it's all women. And it's like, oh, okay, this is going to be great. Like, look at this office full of women. And then they're all standing there gossiping.
Mhm.
And then she goes in to talk to her boss, and her boss is like, you kind of feel like she's not great, but you can't really tell at the beginning,
Mhm.
because the things she's saying could be taken in multiple different ways. But like, you have this idea that, oh, now things are going to be good for her because she is working under a woman, and this woman is going to advocate for her and fight for her.
Mhm.
And it's just as bad. I mean, it's it's just as bad. I just thought the physical representation of those two floors was really interesting,
Yeah.
where you're seeing such a dichotomy, but she's treated the same way, really, on both floors. Similarly, maybe not
Yeah,
the same way, but similarly on both floors.
she's being treated poorly, but it's like in very different ways.
Yes.
And that like when she's like working for a man, it's almost like there is no like lead on that this is going to be like a place that
Mm.
she's welcome. It's almost like, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Like you're here, I guess. We don't really want you here. You're just a secretary. There's like no upwards mobility for you. But when
Hmm.
she does eventually work for Catherine, there's a lot like she like really hammers in like this is a two-way street. Like I want you to, come ahead with me. And in actuality, she's like sneaking and doing this backstabbing thing.
Hmm.
And I'm like this is I don't know which one is worse.
Yeah.
It's kind of the debate of like what's worse. Is it like overt racism or is it like the sneaky
Mm.
like not to your face stuff where they're like kind
Sure.
on the outside? It's kind of the same problem here where
Hmm.
either way there is this like discrimination or classism going on here, but she's stuck and she doesn't really
Hmm.
have any other options, which
Right. Yeah, I think maybe well, I mean, those guys. So the guys on that one floor, they're literally throwing her into a situation where she is going to be harassed and they know it. I felt like there was like they knew when she came back what she was going to deal with. You could tell by
mm,
their reactions where they were sending her.
yeah,
Like that felt especially nefarious to me. Whereas with Catherine, it also feels like a betrayal
yes,
because you are a woman like me and you probably had to fight like this. So the fact then that I have to fight you too when I thought I was going to be in a place where I would be supported and encouraged, and instead you steal my ideas and you're putting me in the exact, not in the exact same spot, but like it's just a different sort of betrayal. And there's something about being betrayed by someone like you
hmm,
that in this particular situation feels especially hurtful because we know that Catherine understands where she's at
right,
and she continues to like be self-interested and not care about Tess at all.
hmm,
So yeah, anyway,
yeah,
that's how I feel about that. I don't know, they're both bad.
they're both bad. They're
They
both
are.
bad.
They are.
I was just thinking, and this is
Hmm.
maybe a little bit of a change of subject,
Sure.
but let's talk a little bit about like I don't want this to be a political episode, but it's going
Yeah.
to be hard to talk about the 80s and not talk about the like conservative wave that was
Mm.
going on.
Yep.
I know this came out in 88, but
Hmm.
was produced a little bit before then, like right around like the super Reagan years where
Hmm.
like he won every state except for Minnesota.
Yeah.
Go loonies, I guess. And but it's interesting where this is very much pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of movie.
Yeah.
Um, and I think what's interesting about that is that you compare, just want to compare one scene where there's
Hmm.
the scene where the close friend tries to convince the main character to do what's right or do what has always been.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's kind of interesting. And that like the one person that is her friend that is like shown to be her close friend is kind of dissuading her from
Mm.
advancing and wanting to stick with the status quo. And I want like, just like 10 years later, Goodwill Hunting has a similar conversation, but it's exactly the opposite, where Ben Affleck says, one of these days, I want to drive over to your house and pick you up and for you just not to be there. I want you to be better. Like,
Yeah.
because you're so smart and brilliant, you shouldn't be working with us. I think that's
Hmm.
really interesting that,
Hmm.
like, it's a very similar scene, but like complete opposites. And I'm sure there's
Hmm.
like some like societal stuff that was going on in both of those times that would probably like explain that. But it is interesting that the best friend is trying to say, "Oh, stop! Don't follow your dreams, honey. Just chill with me."
Yeah. Well, and then the same thing. So that's our good friend Joan Cusack, who had the
Yes,
most magnificent eye makeup I've ever seen in my whole life,
uh, she looked
and the
like
hair.
Divine.
That hair was bad, wasn't it?
I think all the hair was bad.
All the hair was bad. And then the two-tone eyeshadow.
Yeah.
Where it was like red on the inside and blue on the outside. And there was a definite line in the middle.
Yes.
That was so 80s and I loved it. And that was one way that I noticed that they really transformed the Melanie Griffith character is as she was going, her makeup became really muted and natural looking.
Oh.
And I really noticed that when the two of them were standing together. There was a scene. Oh, shoot. I can't remember. But it was toward the end. Oh, it was when she was pretending to be Catherine and her friend was pretending to be her secretary.
Oh, right.
And she walks in and it's like, oh, you see this like crazy makeup and stuff. And then you've got Melanie Griffith there with her like very muted brown tones and stuff. And it was like, oh, I didn't even notice that. I mean, I noticed the hair, but I didn't notice the transition of like what her face was actually looking like.
Right.
Anyway, I totally lost track to what. Oh, okay. So her friend does that, the same thing when Alec Baldwin cheats on her. And she's like, why aren't you marrying him? Like, I can't believe you're even not even giving him a chance. I'm like, are you crazy? Why would there even be an expectation that she would? You know, and in that same way, it's like she wants her to stay the same is what she wants.
Right.
She doesn't want to lose her friend. And she wants to keep this group together that has, obviously is her, they're their main social circle. And if you break up with this dude, then who's my husband going to hang out with?
Yeah.
We're all friends together. And just that was the other thing that really kind of bothered me. And I was like, would this have been more acceptable then to say, yeah, I'd go ahead? I don't know if that's the case. It just kind of felt like both Tess and her friend were pretty flippant about the fact that this happened. When she shows up at the party and she's dancing with him, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'd have been throwing a drink in this dude's face.
Yeah, because she said it
Her
was 3
reaction
days
didn't
later.
make sense. Yes, it didn't make any sense. And that was some of the stuff where I'm like, this isn't, I don't understand the reasoning behind some of the decisions in it. And those were that one specifically where I was like, why are you even entertaining the idea that you might marry this guy? Right? And how awkward was that where he proposes in front of everyone? And her friend kind of encouraged it, which I was like, don't do that, Joan. I don't remember her name in the movie.
Sin, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because it put Tess in such a horrible place at that party.
Yeah.
And then for Alec Baldwin to be like, I don't get it. Well, oh my gosh, you're a moron. He was extremely attractive, though. Wow. Young Alec Baldwin?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen him this young.
Wow. He was handsome. He was really handsome. He had a nice mullet going.
He did. He did. I don't know. I was like, man, he's just so unlikable in this movie. And I feel like Alec Baldwin isn't usually that, like, unlikable. I feel like even something like 30 Rock, he isn't, like, playing the antagonist, but, like, sometimes he kind of is that antagonist depending on the episode. But he never comes off as like, oh, I hate it when this guy's on screen, even when he's the bad guy. I'm like, man, this guy is just the worst in this movie.
Yeah. I did still enjoy when he was on the screen.
Okay.
I just he just has crazy charisma.
Yeah.
He has crazy charisma. He's extremely like there's just something about him and it's not even just his handsomeness. He just has this charm about him even when he's being a sleazeball. I don't know. I feel like I kind of derailed where we were talking about her friend not wanting her. But I do think that is all rooted in like not wanting the best for your friend, but also not wanting things to change because now she works on a different floor. And now, she's so much busier with work. And, there are just all of these things that change that friendship. And you see people do that sometimes where it's like, I'm going to keep you here with me because it's not that I don't want good things for you. I just don't want things to change.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like maybe that was the motivation of that particular character, especially when you're looking at the reaction to the Alec Baldwin situation.
Yeah, probably. I also think a part of it is that this movie was not written by a woman. And I kind of have a suspicion that maybe this writer was like, what do woman friendships look like? They're probably talking about, oh, you should marry this man. Oh, he cheated on you. Just get back together with him.
Yeah.
Stay in your place, woman. That's what women talk about.
Yeah, that is what we talk about. I think the other thing is like these two obviously had a very close friendship. There
Yeah.
would have been conversations around this. So the idea that we're not seeing any really good conversations between these friends, which if it was real, there's lots of talking that generally happens in female friendships.
Oh, yeah.
So it feels like there was not a lot of communication happening between the two of them either.
Hmm.
And so when we're talking about like male writing versus women, if this was a Nora Ephron movie, and you're thinking of like, I think of Sleepless in Seattle with Rosie O'Donnell and Meg Ryan, and they're sitting on the couch and they're processing the things. That is
Right.
what it would look like. This did not have enough of that friendship in there for us to really understand what Sin's motivation was. But
Right.
her behavior, like the external behavior, was like, you don't seem like you're a very good friend. Like
Right.
you're really not supporting her in very many ways, you know? I don't
Yeah.
know.
I did not get that. That was maybe like my biggest criticism is that like this friend character is not a friend. Like she
Yeah.
isn't written like a friend. She's almost written like she's Catherine's henchman or something. It's like weird how it's written, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she kind of disappears. It's like it's kind of weird.
does.
She's like there for some of the beginning of the first act, and then she's like gone until then. There's like a scene here, a scene there, and then it's her wedding.
Right. Right. Yeah. I really love her as an actress. She's like one of my favorites. Do you know that she does the voice of Jessie from Toy Story?
Joan Cusack.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That
If
makes sense.
If you listen to her voice, you would 100% be like, oh my gosh, it's Jessie. She is so great. I love her. She was in a lot of John Hughes movies, like 16 Candles with Molly Ringwald. Anyway, yeah, some of this is like, I'm looking at it now with our 2020 lenses on and going, well, she's being sexually harassed by not only this gross guy in a limo, which I was so glad she got all that champagne in his face, made me so
Yeah.
happy. And then by her people who are working alongside her, like, and she's just trying to plug away. I mean, she says she went back to college to get her degree. Like, this is a hardworking woman who really wants to be successful and she cares about her job. And she's being held down in that particular case. And then she gets her hopes up again. And then she eventually gets let down there too. And I just feel bad for her because she just wants to be a working girl.
Yeah.
She just wants to be a working girl and she's just getting it on every side. So then Harrison Ford is especially refreshing. That is where I
Yeah.
feel every other character in this movie is not for her. There's nobody for her until you get to the Harrison Ford character and he is like, he treats her as capable. Granted, he lies to her at the beginning and doesn't tell her who he is, but he says, like, I don't want to talk business and
Yeah.
whatever. There's some problematic things with that as well. With like, I don't know. I felt like there were some comments when they were first talking in the bar where I was like, ooh, this isn't good.
Yeah, the whole like no names. I'm like,
Yes,
yeah, that's sketchy.
Yeah, but he knew she was capable. Like he did not treat her any differently because she was driven and wanted something from her career. And so he was such a breath of fresh air because he also is very charismatic and,
Yes.
wonderful. And I love him very much. He's one of my favorites,
Yeah.
along with James Earl Jones, who were in Star Wars together. But I wish I had seen a movie with the two of them where they were actually acting face to face. I think that would have been really good. Too late for that now. But he's like the one character. There isn't really anybody else that I can think of that was, that saw her in her dreams and was like, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's do this together. And
Yeah.
he treated her like she wasn't an idiot. And even though she was beautiful, he respected her. And that was just really refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah. I was very happy that like it didn't go super, dangerous, I'll say. After the bar, like when he's carrying her up, I'm like, oh no, don't do it. Don't do it. Come on,
Yep.
don't do it. It's
And then
like,
she's laying in the chair and I see him
yeah.
lift up and I was like, oh
Yeah, and
no, this
he
is
asks
not
her for
good.
a nightcap. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be bad. Mainly because I think I'm remembering the scene from Gone with the Wind where that happens.
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen that movie forever. I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it's what's the guy's name? Why can't I remember that guy?
Oh, Clark Gable.
Clark Gable. Yeah, Clark Gable and the main character get in a fight, and so then he carries her up the stairs. She's like, no, 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 I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then like it like dissolves to black, and then it fades up, and then it's the next morning, and she's like, I feel better now. I was just pent up.
Oh my goodness, that's bad.
That movie's really bad.
No, that's terrible. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah,
So-
I was a little nervous about that.
Yeah, I'm very glad because that was what was going through my head. I'm like, this is the same exact setup as Gone with the Wind, and I know how
Yeah.
influential that movie was. I was really hoping that they didn't learn that lesson, but thankfully they didn't. Even though
Yes.
Harrison Ford was kind of joking about it as if it did happen, and I'm like, don't do that. Like, that's such a
I
bad thing
know.
to do. Like, if someone's worried that like you sexually assaulted them, you don't like, oh yeah, it was super fun. Just kidding. Like, you don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. There are definitely things in here that feel very 80s, like, oh, we have to have some boob shots, and like her standing in her underwear. That is very 80s sensibility for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's a real dichotomy between the messages of the movie, which are like women are capable and women are smart and can be successful, and also demonstrating how difficult it is.
Yeah.
It was for women at that time, especially to be one of the only women in an entire floor. So I appreciated that. Like, I liked those messages about like we really should be building each other up. We shouldn't be tearing each other down and that kind of stuff. But there was so much of that other that I was like, oh, this doesn't feel
Yeah.
good. Not that the people that, okay, how I want to say this. So it's not like it was gratuitous necessarily. Not necessarily gratuitous. And the situations that she was in that were sexual situations were not necessarily of her making,
Right.
right? None of them were. So it's not like it's like they weren't painting them as good situations necessarily. So, I mean, that's the other part where it's like, oh, I don't like seeing this. But also, it's not like he was saying, great, this is how it should be
Right.
either, the director. So
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It just makes me wonder, like, was it, because I have no experience of this, like, was it really that hard? Like, I
I'm
mean,
sure
I
it
have to think
was.
it was.
Yeah.
I have to think it was.
Especially in like
that-
financial, like that's such like a
Yeah.
male dominated field, especially back then where it would have been
Yeah.
near impossible to like break your way in. I think the only reason that Catherine was able to is that I think it might be alluded that she has like rich parents. And so it's like she's a
Yeah.
Nepo baby, and that's how.
Well, and she was kind of flirting with the guys. Like, I'm like, did she sleep her way up? Which is something that was often talked about in the 80s. Like,
Yeah.
they were having sex with their bosses so they could get promotions and that sort of stuff. I
Maybe.
mean, because she was flirting with somebody.
Yeah, I was at
There
that
was-
party.
Yeah. Yes. And it was like, oh, you can see where this person, the guy was married, I think, I remember. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's kind of alluded to that, this is what you have to do.
Right.
This is what you have to do to, move up in a company. I guess we can take, I will say that stark contrast between those two floors, it did feel good to see her walk into a room full of women.
Yeah.
And so you think, well, Catherine was doing something good. She was allowing women to get, to be on her floor. She may have been stealing from Tess, but that's just because Tess was super smart and had a great idea and whatever. But like the fact that she had given opportunities to all of these women, Whereas on those other floors, you didn't see it at all. So we know that she did some good things. Like she knew to bring women along with her. It's just when
Hmm.
she's threatened by her idea or when she sees the potential in this idea from Tess, she kind of takes a dark turn and is like, yeah, I need this. And
Yeah.
also she's trying to be successful herself. That's the other part. It's like she has to have these ideas or she's not keeping her job,
Hmm.
like, so there's some idea of you're like this woman in this man's club and
Yeah,
how do I stay where I am? Not even just getting there, but how do I stay?
that's true.
So it's complicated. I don't know.
It
It's interesting.
is. Uh, yeah, because I think I was tempted, like, initially to be like, oh, this, like, Sigourney Weaver twist villain that they're doing, this
Hmm.
feels like kind of, well, it's bad when men are in charge, but it's even worse when women are in
Mm,
charge because they're sneaky and they'll backstab you.
yeah.
That's kind of what I was like, oh, this is what this is,
Yeah.
whatever. But there is that layer to it where it's like
Mm,
she also is a woman in a male dominated field and she has to provide for herself first.
right.
And I felt like even when she did like steal the idea, like it didn't even necessarily seem like, I mean, the only line was just like, don't go through Tess. But also, like, why would they be going through Tess? Because she's a secretary? Like,
Yeah.
it would be, I guess it's weird that she put that in the email, but like,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
she didn't
know.
want Tess to know she stole her idea.
Yeah, but I think like at that point, maybe she said, maybe they're like stuck on television. I guess the only bad part is that she like lied in that instance and said that they
Hmm.
weren't interested.
They weren't interested. Yeah. And then she took it and ran with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not really. I probably shouldn't be looking for Sigourney Weaver like apologetics, but I just love her so
Yeah.
much.
Oh, I know. She's fabulous. I think yeah, I really like her. I like this. There's a scene, and I think it's toward the end when she's with all the guys, when Sigourney Weaver is with all the guys, and she is in this bright red power suit.
Hmm.
I'm like, look at you. Like, she was not afraid to stand up, to stand out. Here's the thing as a woman in that context, you're going to stand out. It doesn't matter if you're wearing gray or you're wearing whatever. But I
Right.
liked that this character was not afraid to be bold and yeah, she's a complicated character.
Yeah.
I think when you're looking at it from her perspective, it's like, well, she just lost her boyfriend to the woman who you hired to, like she's had some things hit her. She just broke her leg, but
Yeah.
she's not the best. She's just not the best.
No.
She's made some bad decisions and some that really hurt the person that's working for her because she's taking opportunity from her
Yeah.
and using her for her ideas. It's bad.
It is
Um,
bad. Man, I don't know. I feel like if the purpose of the movie was to show how hard it is for women in the workforce, why would the
mhm,
main bad guy be a woman? That
mm,
feels a little bit like a weird choice, where it's like, I think the point of the movie should be, hey, it's bad that there's all these men in charge that are keeping women down. It kind of muddies the
mhm.
water when, if that's the message you're trying to say, to be like, but also there's a woman that's also bad. So maybe it
Yeah.
isn't good for women in general. Like, why try?
Well,
I don't know
I
what they're trying to
yeah,
say,
I
I
think
guess.
I think the point is it's just hard to be a woman in the workplace at that
Yeah.
time because you have women who want to keep their status or keep their positions and you have men who don't want women in those positions. And so the easiest thing to do is to get to where you want to be and then it doesn't matter about the people below you. And maybe this is specifically in an instance where we're talking about a woman in the workplace and I think that's very relevant to this story. I
Oh, yeah.
think that having her being a woman is obviously very central,
It's the name
right?
of the movie.
That's the name of the movie. But I think I think there was this sense of safety that happens
Mm.
when we walk onto that floor.
Yeah.
It's not so smoky. It's like not so loud. I mean, the women are gossiping, but like
Yeah.
it just had a very different feel. And it's like, oh, okay, like this is going to be a good place for me. And that's how Tess felt. Like, this is going to be a great place for me. I'm going to have opportunity here. Look at all these women in this room. Like,
Hmm.
so then it was especially painful to have that rug pulled out from under her.
That's true.
So it may not be making a larger statement. It may just be saying, like in this particular case, this woman was also treating her badly, and you have this false sense of complacency and safety.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. It's so interesting to me to watch this now
Mhm.
because I really do. I would be so interested in talking to someone who was a business professional at that time, a woman who was a
Mhm.
business professional in the 80s. What was this like? Like, if you watched this movie, um, did it feel so much like that glass ceiling was there? I mean, I heard about that my whole childhood. There was this glass ceiling, women couldn't break through.
Yeah.
We still have discrepancies in pay and those sorts of things. It's not like this is not something that happens now. It's
Mhm.
just so much more common to see um, a, a diverse workplace as far as men and women go in general. Some workplaces are skewed one way or the other. Like
Mhm.
me, we have our one token dude, but 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 I don't know. It just would make me, because sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, was it really like this?
Mm.
You watch those old 50s movies and you're like, I know it wasn't really like this.
Right.
And I don't want to pretend like that there were not challenges, because 100% there were. I just would be curious to hear those stories. Like, do you feel like this would
Mm.
reflect what the experience would be for a woman in the 80s in that sort of setting? It would be
Yeah.
interesting to know.
That would be interesting to know. I wonder if there were any like interviews done or like
Mm,
surveys done or something
mm,
around that time regarding the movie. I'm not
mm.
sure. That's an interesting point. If
Yeah, I
only
don't
we
know.
knew someone that was old.
If only who was a working professional. I don't have any women in my family that were, well, I take that back. So my mom was a lobbyist. My parents owned a campground when we were growing up. And when I was in high school and college, so it would have been around this time,
Mhm.
she became a lobbyist for the Department of Economic Development's Division of Tourism. And so she would spend time up at the Capitol
Oh,
building
she
and
was a
she'd
part
be
of.
hobnobbing it. What's that?
Oh, never mind. I thought I was like she was in Doge.
No,
That's what
no,
I thought that you said.
no, the
Oh,
Department of Economic Development.
okay.
And it was the tourism. So, as a campground owner, she would advocate for campgrounds, hotels, like hospitality industry, basically. She would go up to the Capitol and, hobnob with people.
Sure.
And I remember, because my mom had been a business owner, she had not, and a campground is not like one that you have to dress up and go to an office. This is your home, and.
Yeah.
But I remember at that time her buying the power suits with the big shoulder pads and all that kind of stuff, because she didn't have any of that.
Right.
And I remember her going to these events where she would be meeting with the governor or the
Mm.
politicians and talking about that kind of stuff. And I remember her talking about being in a room full of guys. There were not very many female lobbyists at that time.
Mm.
It would be interesting to talk with her about that, because
Yeah.
she would probably have some really interesting things to say, especially when you're looking at politics and government at that time, especially coming in green.
Oh
She
yeah.
didn't have any political experience. It's not like she had a college degree in, poli sci or anything. She
Mhm.
was a business owner that was advocating for her industry. Um, so it would be interesting to talk with her about that. I only
Yeah.
remember very snippety things that she used to tell me, um, of going to DC or whatever. And
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't, I
it's
didn't know
interesting.
she was like that high up.
Yeah, yeah. She did really well with it. She didn't do it for very long, because they sold
Mm.
the campground not long after that. But
Oh,
um, yeah, and it was hard to do that and the business at the same time.
sure.
But she did do it for a few years. She was the president of the Iowa Campground Owners Association.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so my mom was driven. She was a driven woman,
Nice.
but it was. I don't remember her talking a lot about it.
Mm.
So that we're gonna have a conversation about that, because I am curious what
There
her
you go.
experience was, because that would be a similar setting, as far as like, you're hanging out with politicians,
Hmm.
guys with power and money, and so we'll have to have that conversation.
Yeah, if you do, bring it back to the podcast next week or next
Yeah,
time
I will
because that would be
definitely do
fun.
that. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, it's not that I didn't like it. I liked it. It just was different than I remembered. And
Mm.
I feel like I say that every time, but of course it's going to be. It's been 40 years or 30 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But there are definitely things to talk about. And I think it is an interesting study in sociology of the time.
Yes.
Like what did this look like? And what would it be like? It's easy to put myself in Tessa's shoes to be like, would I have been this woman who I had a goal and I knew what I wanted to do and I'm going to do it. And like,
Hmm.
but so then what I really love, let's talk about this for a second, is that last scene when her
Oh, yeah.
secretary thinks that, or she thinks that she's the secretary and the other woman's her boss.
Hmm.
And that conversation they have at the end, where she basically said, like, we're in this. She gave the Sigourney Weaver speech basically, but she meant it.
Yeah.
I think she meant it. I don't see her carrying that on.
Hmm.
That she was given this opportunity, and truly, that is what it should look like.
Yeah.
It should look like we're going to develop together. I'm going to bring you with me. I will get my own coffee unless you're going to get yours.
Hmm.
That whole, I've been there. I understand this. I've been burned recently.
Uh-huh.
And so the way she approached that conversation was everything we wanted to hear and everything we did hear earlier in the movie. But we know this time, hopefully, that her motivation is different and she means it and things are going to change around there. That at least was like a nice, hopeful ending, which I appreciated that. At the end, it made me feel really good. I was like, yes, you're going to pass that on and you're going to take that woman and she's going to, learn and grow.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really like that. I liked the ending.
I think that ending gave me like a half star. I think I don't know. I really, really liked that.
Yeah,
That
I did too.
whole I mean that whole scene is like really, really well done. And that like she
Hmm.
walks in on her secretary in her office using her
Yes.
phone with her feet on the table. So obviously, yeah, you would think, oh, okay, well, that's clearly not my office. Someone else is there. And so
Hmm.
like that whole conversation is like so believable. Like
Yeah.
in a movie with those lines that you quoted, where it feels so unnatural that no one would ever talk like this.
Mm-hmm.
That scene felt like uniquely human in a way.
Uh-huh.
And also just like, the best outcome you could have expected. And it was just like so nice to see. And then like a really, really great like helicopter zoom out shot. Like, it's
Yes,
just
of the
nice.
building. That was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a really, really nice
I
ending.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really did like that. And I liked, well, it's because the guy that owns the business had told her, you're going to have to start out at the bottom,
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
that's true. Yeah.
And so she, yeah, I mean, well, I guess this is the bottom. I mean, this is where I am. This is where I have been. It's not the bottom for me. Like, this is still, it's like a level playing field at this point. It's same level of work she was doing before. And
Hmm.
she was willing to do it,
Yeah.
even though it was unfair. And then it turned out that like he even gave her more than what he had promised, which was also really nice too. Cause that he obviously advocated for her to
Mhm.
be able to have that job with that office. And so not
Oh, yeah.
every man in the business world is bad and not every woman in the business world is bad. It is a nice redemption kind of at the end to
That's
say
true.
like you can be a good and decent person
Yeah.
and like support people who have dreams.
Yeah.
How many stars did you give it, Jerry?
I gave it 3.5.
That's pretty good. Okay.
That's pretty good.
I think I'd probably be about the same.
Okay.
I'd say 3.5. I think that's a good star rating. I do have a couple. So no, go ahead.
Well, I was actually going to prompt you because I know you said that you had a couple of things about the director
Yes,
that I was interested in.
do. So Mike Nichols. Mike Nichols is married to Diane Sawyer. Do you know that?
No, I did not
Do
know
you
that.
even know who Diane Sawyer is?
If
I
I
guess I should ask that
if I
first.
saw her face, let me pull up a
Yeah.
picture because I probably
Yep.
do.
She's a news anchor.
Oh, okay, then maybe.
Big time.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I have seen her.
Big time. Yeah. So that's fun. That's a fun power couple you have going there.
Huh.
Okay, so Mike Nichols, I of course had heard his name. I had never done a deep dive into his catalog of what he has done, and I was floored.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to give you a quick list of the ones that like I recognize as being really stellar. Who's Afraid of and this is in chronological order from his oldest to his newest of things that I recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, The Graduate, which he won an Oscar for, which is his only Oscar win for best director. So The Graduate, Cardinal Knowledge, Silkwood, Heartburn, Postcards from the Edge, which is a movie, if you didn't know, written by Carrie Fisher about her relationship with her mom, Debbie Reynolds. So it's biographical. So that's really good. Postcards from the Edge. The Birdcage. Oh, love The Birdcage. Charlie Wilson's War, and the miniseries Angels in America, which is a miniseries about the AIDS, about the AIDS. I wanted to say the AIDS epidemic, but it's not specifically about the entire epidemic. It's the story of someone who has AIDS, and it was a 6-part miniseries that was highly lauded at the time.
Oh, wow.
And then let me just tell you some of these people. So Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? We have Elizabeth Taylor, Tim Burton, George Segal, who plays Pops on the Goldbergs. That kind of tickled me a little bit. The Graduate, of course, Dustin Hoffman and Anne Bancroft. Carnal Knowledge has Jack Nicholson, Art Garfunkel. Woot woot.
Oh.
Candice Bergen and Anne Margaret. Silkwood has Meryl Streep, Kurt Russell, Cher.
Oh.
Heartburn has Meryl Streep, Jack Nicholson. I mean, these people. Postcards from the Edge. Meryl Streep plays the Carrie Fisher character. Shirley MacLaine plays Debbie Reynolds' character.
Wow.
And then you have Dennis Quaid, Gene Hackman, Richard Dreyfuss, Rob Reiner, The Birdcage, Nathan Lane, Robin Williams, Gene Hackman, Diane Wiest. I mean, it just goes on and on. The Angels in America, Al Pacino, Emma Thompson, Jeffrey Wright.
Wow.
I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman is in Charlie Wilson's War along with Tom Hanks and Amy Adams and Julia Roberts. Like the talent that he was able to amass, I feel like no one compares. That's like 4 Meryl Streep movies right there, just with him, and at least 2 Jack Nicholson movies. That was phenomenal to me, and those are huge, well-regarded movies. Like, anyway, amazing. I loved that.
Yeah.
I was surprised that he only won 1 Oscar for Best Director, honestly, out of all those movies. That's surprising to me.
I'm sure he has other nominations. Sure.
Yes. I think I saw 34 nominations, 31 wins with things that were related to his movies.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. The way I knew that this movie was popular is because there was a TV series called Working Girl that started running in 1990, starring Sandra Bullock, who was a baby 26 years old at the time. It was crazy. 12 episodes. It was canceled after the 8th one because it was so bad. So it was not successful. There was an Oscar win for this movie for Working Girl.
Oh.
Let's see. Let me find that here. I'm sorry. Okay. There was I didn't tell you this part.
Oh.
There is a Broadway musical adaptation of the movie Working Girl that is set to premiere next year.
Oh.
And who wrote the music and lyrics? Cyndi Lauper did. I'm pumped.
I'm not a fan of Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, no. Kinky Boots is so good.
I guess
she wrote Kinky Boots. Yeah, she's a great I mean, whether you like her voice or you don't, like, her writing is really good. Like, you should watch Kinky Boots if you can. I think it's streaming. You should definitely watch it. It's so good. Okay. Anyway, so she wrote it, and that is going to be a Broadway musical next year, which I think is so interesting. It was optioned in 2017. Wow. So, yeah, I mean, it obviously has a little bit of staying power, which is great. Let's talk awards. Do you have anything you want to say so far?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, let's talk awards then, because this is very fun and thrilling.
All right.
Academy Award. This movie was nominated for 6 Academy Awards. It had 1 win. So it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Lead Actress for Griffith. There were 2 nominations for Supporting Actress. Both Joan Cusack and Sigourney Weaver were nominated.
Oh.
Best Director and Original Song. Original Song is what won. the one that's playing over the opening credits and the closing credits. And then there's also
Oh,
an
yeah.
instrumental version of that song during the middle of the movie. So it is a good song.
I
I liked
don't
it.
I don't remember what it sounded. I remember it being like very 80s.
It almost has like a black spiritual sound to it, like an old black
Oh,
spiritual.
that's right. Yeah.
Um, and they play it over the top when you're seeing the Statue of Liberty
Yes.
at the beginning. Okay, so then let's talk Golden Globes because they had more wins here. So six
Mm,
nominations again. This time, the people who won, it won Best Picture, musical or comedy.
okay.
It won, Melanie Griffith won, and Sigourney Weaver won.
Nice.
It was also nominated for director, screenplay, and original song, and then it also won a Grammy for best song specifically written for a motion picture or television for the same song, Carly Simon, "Let the River Run." So
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember seeing
yeah,
like music by Carly Simon. I'm like, oh, that's
hmm
interesting.
yes. So she won both an Academy Award and a Grammy that year for that song,
Wow, good
which
for
is
her.
super interesting. Yeah, and Best Picture for the Golden Globes. I thought that was exciting. Harrison Ford was not nominated for anything on these big three, um, which surprised me when I watched it because I really liked him in this movie. I
Oh,
thought he was
yeah.
great. So I was very surprised that he hadn't been nominated.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
but yeah,
the fact that Sigourney Weaver got nominated over him is odd because she's like absent for like 75% of the movie. Where like she's
yeah,
there in the beginning, there's like a phone call with her in the middle, and then she's at the end. But otherwise, there's absolutely nothing. And Harrison Ford's in the whole thing pretty much.
yeah,
And he's great
yeah. It's
throughout.
true. It's true. I think he's amazing. Hey Jerry, I just got a text.
Okay.
Can I respond really quickly? Do you care?
I don't care.
Okay, all right, hold on. Sorry, I have a friend coming in town from out of town. She's driving through from Kansas to Minneapolis, and she's like, "Hey, can I like pop by and say hey?" So hold on a second. Uh, hold
Um,
on.
Jeez, I don't think I have anything else to say about this movie. I was gonna try to fill some air, but
Okay, I got it. I
okay.
just texted. We'll see what happens. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's it for awards, but I do have some interesting information about Melanie Griffith. So
Okay.
we talked a little bit last week about Roar and
Oh
some of
yeah.
her history with that. She actually did, I can't remember if it was her or her mom that did an interview recently talking about like how many people were really injured during that. And it was
Oh.
still very significant injuries. Like what had been going around was like 70 or 80 people.
Oh.
And she said that includes people who hit their thumbs with a hammer. That's not,
Oh.
they said it took them 5 years to shoot it,
Hmm.
which was a long time. But she did talk about the fact that, well, Melanie Griffith had to have plastic surgery on her eye
Yeah.
from the injuries from the lion, and then the broken leg is for real. And then there was a cinematographer, I think, who was scalped and had 200 and some stitches put in.
Oh. I must have been
Uh,
thinking about him because I think I said Melanie Griffith got scalped, but it must
yeah,
have been someone else.
the lion got her in the face.
Yeah.
So she did have injuries to her eye. So while I was watching the movie, I'm like, you can't tell. She looks great.
Yeah.
But she did say, so Melanie Griffith is kind of known. I think of like Drew Barrymore. Melanie
Mm,
Griffith is like a Nepo baby in the truest sense of the word.
sure.
And so she was, oh shoot, I wish I could remember. They used to call them, okay, so they would take children of celebrities and have them hand out the Oscars. And they had a name like Little Miss Oscar or
They
something
did
like
that?
that. Little Mr. Oscar. Yes. Yes, they did.
That seems so
And
weird.
I know you should go back and look. It's an interesting history, but she was a Little Miss Oscar,
Okay.
and she is one of two Little Miss Oscars who later went on to win Oscars themselves.
Hmm.
She is one of them, and the other person is Laura Dern.
Oh, I love
So
Laura
she
Dern.
was a Little Miss Oscar, and she ended up winning as well. So that's just kind of an interesting little side thing.
Ah.
But all of that to say, like she grew up in show business. She had a weird upbringing, and like Drew Barrymore, started using substances at a young age. She's like, nobody watched out for me. They were all busy doing, my mom and dad were busy doing their own thing. So I was basically left alone to fend for myself. She said she started guzzling wine and stuff at the age of 11.
Oh,
So she has a very complicated history when it comes to substance abuse. She did have issues with alcohol and cocaine while filming this movie,
mm.
and had cocaine delivered to the set.
Oh,
Yeah, so that scene with Kevin Spacey where he's doing coke, it was like,
oh.
oh, wow, okay. So she told this story, and this is from her, so it can be trusted. She went out to play pool one night with Alec Baldwin. She and Alec Baldwin were hanging out. She wanted to date him, and he turned her down. She was very sad about that. But they were hanging out, and he was sober at the time, but she was drinking like crazy. And she got so trashed. She went home and was late to the set the next day, and Mike Nichols was furious because the whole crew is standing there waiting.
yeah.
And so he charged her for the lost time on set. And he told her, like, I won't say anything to the studio, but you're going to pay me for that time, and account for that time. So she had to pay him $80,000 for that, for being late on set. Yeah.
Whoa.
And then, yeah, which is a lot in 1988
Yeah.
too, like even more than now. Yeah. So he was really frustrated with her with her substance stuff because it was causing issues on set. But she was thankful for it because she's like, it held me accountable to realize every time I miss, I'm going to have to do this. And that's
Yeah.
basically what he said. Every time you're late, you're going to have to pay. So he made her pay that time. And then 3 weeks later, she checked herself into rehab. That was the first of her 3 stints in rehab. She went to, oh shoot, I wish I remember the name of the rehab she went to, but it's up in Minnesota with you. Can't think of what the name of it is off the top of my head. It's a very famous one. But yeah, she had been in 3 times, and both her and Antonio Banderas said that their divorce was as a result of her substance abuse as well. So, yeah, so she had some struggles while she was making this movie, but I thought she did a great job, and
Yeah, I thought so.
I didn't feel like you could really tell it when you're watching the movie that she was. But they can edit anything.
Yeah.
But that was kind of what was happening behind the scenes, which I thought was kind of fascinating.
I didn't know any of that. That is very
Yeah.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't think there was anything that like stood out. I mean, sometimes you can like, by the end of like Chris Farley's life, you see some of those sketches on SNL and you're
Sure.
like, oh, there's something going on there. He's not quite right. But
Yeah.
I didn't think that it was like, I mean, I didn't notice. So not
No,
heard of
yeah.
it.
No, and I feel like there were so many filters on the screens.
Well,
That was one thing about that. Like they would soften her face or it wasn't always her. I think of like Barbara Streisand who used to do that. Anytime she directed a film, she always put pantyhose over the lens so that it would like soften what she looks like. I don't know if that's real or not, but that's what I remember hearing. She did the movie Yentl and she did the movie Prince of Tides. And it was and something in the mirror, face in the mirror, for something in the mirror. Anyway, people would say, oh yeah, she puts pantyhose in front of the lens so that it gives like this, there are no hard lines on the screen. Everything's very soft and muted. There were moments in this movie where I felt like that too, where she almost looked ethereal. Her skin was glowing and she, anyway.
yeah.
Anyway, so that's all I have for trivia about this movie. But I do have one thing for Recollection Correction Corner. If you're up for one quick fact about my good friend Jason Momoa and the Minecraft movie.
Oh, okay.
Although it's not about the Minecraft movie, but I did go see it, which was how our conversation came up about that last week. It was okay. The visuals were great.
Great.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, but it was a full house. We weren't sure if we were going to have a full house. It was a full house, lots of kids in the room, but nobody was disruptive. And the only time the kids laughed was when there were butt jokes or fart jokes.
Well, yeah.
And I was like, there's more funny stuff in there. Like there were some things that I thought were funny, but maybe it's one of those things where, it goes over kids' heads, but as adults, we think it's cute.
Yeah.
It wasn't like anything amazing, but the popcorn was good and it was fun to go to the movie and sit in there with kids having fun watching Minecraft movies. So I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Okay, so Jason Momoa, I was going back and forth on Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet. Were they married? Were they not married? I couldn't remember. It was driving me nuts. It is an interesting. So they were together for 19 years. I had
Oh,
no
I
idea.
didn't know he's that
Married.
old.
Yeah, I know. Married for 7. So the
Huh.
last 7 they were married, but they had been together for 12 years before they were even married. That blew
Wow.
my mind. Yeah, and they just got divorced last year.
Oh,
Um, so they were married and together forever and ever. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how old he is. That's a good
he's
question.
45.
Oh, so he was in his 20s?
That's crazy. He doesn't look
Wow, and
45.
she has to be quite a bit older than him.
Probably. Let me see.
Um,
Lisa Bonet. Yeah, she's 57.
oh wow, so she's 12 years his senior. That's significant. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the only recollection correction that I had this week.
It's Jason
Um,
Momoa's.
Jason Momoa, I just want to clarify that yes, they were married and they were together for a very, very long time, which
Well,
is kind of crazy.
that is a long time.
Yeah.
Wow. That is
Uh-huh.
interesting, actually.
Mm-hmm. That's your age.
What?
He would
Oh,
have been in his mid-20s, right?
yeah. If I was dating someone that was like 35 or 37.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
I don't
weird.
like that.
That's weird.
It's weird.
Actually, the more I think about it, that's unfortunate.
That's kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on from that.
Sure.
To what are we going to be doing next time? Well, it's my pick.
Yeah. Yes. What are we going to be doing next time?
Next time, we're going to do something that might be a little challenging. If you're okay with it.
Okay. Sure. Why not?
No blood or guts.
Okay.
Nothing like that it's going to be challenging specifically for you. It's just a little bit
Okay.
more artsy than we have been doing on this show.
Okay.
And I did check. It's on Max. So
All right.
it's accessible. We are going to
Okay.
be doing Paris, Texas by
Okay.
Wim Wenders.
I've heard of it. By what?
Yes. His name is Wim Wenders, a German
Okay.
guy. It's spelled like Wim Wenders, but
Yeah.
German.
Okay. Okay.
It's a great film starring the late great Harry Dean Stanton.
Okay.
Okay, I'm glad you know who he is. Just kind of a character
Yes.
actor guy. This is one of the
Yes.
very few movies that he is the lead. And
Okay.
I think it might be one of the best performances I have ever seen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm
When
going
is
to
this
go-
movie? Oh, I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
Well,
When is it from? What year?
Let me see. I'm getting my I have a Criterion copy of it. Just got it for Christmas last year, actually.
Oh, how nice for you.
Yeah. Came out in 1984.
Okay. All
So
right.
early 80s.
Okay.
It is so G-dang good. And if you like it, Wim Wenders just made a movie a couple years ago called Perfect Days. And I think both of those movies are 10 out of 10 masterpieces.
Okay.
So-
Well, this is fun. I know nothing about this, so I'm going in cold. That's going to be a good time.
It will.
I like that.
I am really excited to revisit this one. I think I watched it for the first time last year and was like blown away. So
Okay. I'm game.
I'm excited.
Woo-hoo. Let's do it.
I think we'll have an interesting conversation.
Oh, that's an important part. So
Yeah.
that's good. Okay. Fantastic. I guess I don't have any questions about it. I just want to go in not knowing anything
Okay.
and see how it goes. It'll be fun.
It will be fun. I'm excited to see what you think about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's like too inaccessible,
Uh-huh.
but I think it might be like a layer harder than like an A24 movie.
Sure. Okay.
So,
Okay.
we'll see.
We'll see. You may be explaining a whole bunch to me, and that is okay.
I don't think so. I actually think that
Okay.
the story of it is pretty straightforward,
Oh.
and I think that you'll be able to latch on pretty quick.
Okay.
But
All right. Well, that sounds great.
yeah, it's going to be great.
This is exciting. I mean, we haven't picked anything that I have had zero idea about before. like I think about the Studio Ghibli ones, I at least have an idea in my mind of like, oh, okay, I know what it's going to look like. I have
Oh,
no
sure.
idea. This will be really fun. It's actually kind of exciting.
Yeah, because like I've picked the Wes Anderson movie and the
Yeah.
Ghibli movies and Raising
Yeah.
Arizona, like all those you already know. I
Hmm.
guess you didn't know about Doctor Strangelove, but
I knew it was in black and white, so I had
okay.
some idea. And Stanley Kubrick, but it was very different from other, Stanley Kubrick movies. So yeah, I did go in pretty cold on that one too. But that was the very first one.
I was the very first one,
So,
and
so this will be a fun.
I think you're gonna like this more than Doctor
Okay.
Strangelove. I'll just say
Okay.
that.
All right. I'm excited. Let's do it.
Me too. All right.
Okay.
I was kind of debating picking that one. I have a couple that were kind of front of the list, but take a risk. And
Okay.
so yeah, next time we'll be doing that.
Okay.
Is there anything else? We don't do anything else on this show,
We don't.
but
I usually get on a rant about libraries, but I'm not going to do that this week.
that's fine.
I feel like I've inundated people with library talk enough.
Plus, you have a friend coming over, so
Plus, I have a friend coming over. That's right. I'm going to have to go here pretty soon.
yeah.
So anyway, well, good. I'm glad you liked this. I enjoyed it as well. I
Yeah.
felt like there were good things to talk about. It does make me want to go out and watch. I've heard of a lot of these Mike Nichols movies, but I would not be surprised if one of these pops up in the future for us to watch because I have a lot that I've heard of for years and just have never seen.
The
So I'm
only
interested.
the only one on that list that I've seen is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Oh, not even The Graduate, huh?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes it easy.
Yeah.
Easier.
Easier. I do like
Yeah.
Virginia Woolf is amazing though. Like that was a movie I'm like, I can't believe how crazy this is.
I'll have to watch that. I feel like that one gets talked about a lot too. It's not an Oscar winner.
Let me
In
make
fact, I don't think any of those other ones are Oscar winners for him for Best Picture.
Oh. Okay, yes, it is this movie. It's so wild. Like the
Okay.
whole movie is like one fight scene.
Yeah, I've seen clips of it, I feel like.
It's kinda
Because it's
crazy.
Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor, right? And they were
Yeah.
married at the time, I think.
Yes, I think that is true.
She married him twice.
Oh, okay.
They were also in Cleopatra together.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, yeah, none of these movies, at least the ones that I have listed out here, are Oscar winners. So,
Okay.
which is interesting. Okay, well, great. I'm going to go meet my friend. And this was a good time, as always. Thanks for the stimulating conversation. It was fun.
Yes, it was. This is a different kind of outro, but I like it.
Yeah, well, I still am going to tell people that they need to support their local libraries and call their moms.
Oh,
So support your local library and call your mom.
there you go. You got it,
That's all
everybody.
that's the only rant. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.